Hey guys, it's Hunter here. Welcome back to my channel. So I hope you guys are excited for today's video because I definitely am, since we're getting back kind of into the true crime videos, which I love doing and I really want to implement more on my channel. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So today I'm going to be telling the story of Dr. George Hodel, which, if you guys haven't heard of, was the main suspect in the Black Dahlia murder. And a lot of people are actually convinced that he is the man who killed the Black Dahlia. So today we're going to go through Dr. George Hodel's life and how he became the suspect in the Black Dahlia murder and also in other murders in Los Angeles around that time as well. So this talking about George Hodel was actually inspired by Kendall Ray, who I have been watching her videos, recently found her channel and became obsessed with, and she talked about the TNT show that came out called I Am the Night, which kind of traces the life of Fauna Hodel, George Hodel's granddaughter, and how she kind of figures out all the weird stuff that's going on in the Hodel family. So through that movie I became really interested in the life of George Hodel and thought that I would share it because I thought it was pretty interesting and pretty creepy. So if you guys like this video, definitely make sure to give it a thumbs up. And also, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe down below for more creepy content every Monday and occasionally Wednesdays if I'm feeling crazy. So yeah, with that, let's get on into the story. So let's start off with the story. Also, if I'm looking over here, it's because I have my computer up and just a few little cliff notes in case I forget anything. So that's why if you catch me looking over there, that's probably why. So to start off, George Hill Hodel Jr. was born on October 10th, 1907 in Los Angeles, California. Now, George Hodel was a very prestigious young child. He was considered a musical prodigy and actually wrote many musical compositions on the piano and played for really famous people around Los Angeles, and was also very skilled in artwork. So he was very talented as a young child growing up. And he attended South Pasadena High School, and he actually graduated at age 15 due to him being so overachieved. And he entered the prestigious California Institute of Technology in Pasadena, California. But he was only enrolled in this university for about a year when he was asked to leave because on the basis of a sex scandal involving one of his professor's wives. So there's no really information on if he was involved in this or what his involvement was with this sex scandal, but it's just assumed that it had something to do with some kind of sex scandal. So yeah. So then he was kind of out of school bumping around, and around 1928 he came into a common law marriage with a woman named Amelia and had one son named Duncan. And eventually, so that marriage wasn't really legal, and eventually in the 1930s he legally married a San Francisco model named Dorothy Anthony, and they had one daughter named Tamar. Now, if you've watched the series I Am the Night, this show follows Tamar's daughter Fauna, who was actually adopted as a young baby. She was given up, and so her mom is Tamar, which is based off of this family. So eventually after that he graduated from Berkeley pre-med in June of 1932 and attended medical school at the University of California, San Francisco, where he graduated with his medical degree in June of 1936. So obviously he didn't want to follow on the track of music and art, but he chose to go the medical route and was a very prestigious American physician. He was actually a gynecologist and was known for running illegal abortions in his clinic. So he was already kind of the face of conspiracy and scandals, if you know what I mean, for the illegal activity that he was doing. But what else? So after he graduated medical school and was living in Los Angeles, he kind of became a group of what were called surrealists. So basically, surrealism was a group of people in the 1920s and on who kind of were fascinated with the dark side of arts and philosophy. So these people loved to draw to have art. Like, the artists would draw very creepy, dark images. I'm sorry, I don't really know how to explain it. But it was like a group of people that were kind of just focusing on the dark side of arts and philosophy. And George Hodel was doing these drawings. In the show I Am the Night, you can see he has a whole, like, what is it called? An artist, I don't know what you call an artist's room, but he has a whole room with his paintings, and his paintings are like of women's bodies like ripped apart and just very different, weird, creepy stuff that normal people probably wouldn't expect people to paint. So he was very involved in this, and he also loved having extremely lavish and weird parties. He loved to party. He was always having these crazy parties where a bunch of weird stuff was going down. So eventually in 1945 he purchased the Sowden House, which is also the main set of the show I Am the Night, and this was also where he hosted a lot of these lavish parties. He actually lived in the Sowden House until 1950, and he was living there with his third wife, who he actually had 3 more children with. He was also living there with his second wife and their daughter Tamar, and occasionally he was sometimes living there with his common-law wife Amelia and their son Duncan. So kind of weird that he was living with all his ex-wives and all his children, but whatever, we'll let it slide. So eventually everything was going great. Like I said, he was kind of running an illegal abortion clinic, which had brought about some conspiracy to his character. But he first came under suspicion for murder in 1945 following the death of one of his secretaries, Ruth Spalding, who had overdosed on drugs. And he came under a suspect as to have murdering her in order to cover up his financial fraud. So apparently he had been billing patients for tests that he never performed, and he also wanted to protect various valuable secrets that he obtained about police and politicians from clients for his illegal abortion services. So he had a lot of financial fraud that was going on that his secretary would have known about, and so there is speculation by some people that he may have thought she was going to expose these secrets and killed her and staged it to be a suicide. But it was never confirmed or denied that he actually did kill his secretary, and he was never tried for this murder. In January of 1947, the body of 22-year-old Elizabeth Short was discovered in an empty lot in Lymont Park neighborhood of Los Angeles, California. Now this, if you didn't know, Elizabeth Short was the Black Dahlia. She was also called Black Dahlia, and her body was found in this park in Los Angeles, basically bisected. And this case kind of prompted one of the largest investigations in the history of the LA Police Department. This was a very popular case, and it's still popular to this day because we still don't know who really killed the Black Dahlia. Was it George Hodel or was it someone else? We really don't know. But for some reason, George Hodel came under as one of the suspects. There was I think there was like maybe 9 suspects, and George Hodel was on the list of suspects in the Black Dahlia murder. He had come under some suspicion also after in the late 1949, his daughter Tamar had come forth and accused him of incestuous sexual abuse. So she came forward saying that he had sexual abused her, and her family kind of shunned her and just said, no, she's lying, blah, blah, blah. They just said that she was a pathological liar. And later on, Tamar actually came forward also claiming that her dad was the Black Dahlia killer. But again, her family just said she's a pathological liar. You know, you can't believe anything she says. So we don't really know much about what that is. But also when they were suspecting George Hodel, they were very interested in the fact that he had a medical degree. This rose suspicion as whoever had bisected the Black Dahlia's body had some level of surgical talent. Whoever bisected her body knew what they were doing, knew how to make the certain cuts, so it would assume that this person was maybe a doctor or had some kind of surgical training, if you know what I mean. And actually, eventually later on in the case, it came out that 8 witnesses came forward and they claimed knowledge of Hodel having a relationship with Short. They claimed that they had kind of had a friendship when he had lived in China, and again when he had come back to the United States, that they had talked and had some sort of a relationship. So this also connected him even more, knowing that he had had some sort of relationship with her. So once the cops kind of found out about this, they were kind of suspicious about Hodel, and they decided to bug his house and kind of listen to see if they could find any evidence of him talking to anyone that he might confess to this murder. And while they had his house bugged, they heard him say, "Supposing I did kill the Black Dahlia. They can't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary anymore because she's dead. They thought there was something fishy. Anyway, now they may have figured it out. killed her. Maybe I did kill my secretary. So this was caught being said by George Hodel, which is very sketchy and kind of creepy. But again, you don't know if he's just saying this or if he's telling the truth. So again, you just can't really know for sure. But in April 1950, the police thought they had enough evidence to arrest Hodel, and they were going to arrest him for the murder of the Black Dahlia. And when they were about to arrest him, he left the country for the Philippines. So again, this is kind of sketchy. Like, if you were innocent, you probably wouldn't be escaping the country. So again, pretty sketchy. But he escaped to the Philippines and started a new family there, and it was said that he remained there until 1990, when he then came back to San Francisco and died in 1999 without ever being charged of anything. He was acquitted of all of these things. He was never charged for the murder of the Black Dahlia, never charged for the murder of his secretary, was never charged for sexually raping his daughter. He was never charged with anything. And so after his death, his youngest, or one of his sons with his third wife, Steve Hodel, decided he wanted to know more about his father. And so he had gone through a lot of his father's stuff, and he'd uncovered a photo album with a picture of a dark-haired young woman who he believed was Elizabeth Short, or the Black Dahlia. And so in his son's mind, his son was actually a former member of the LAPD as well, or maybe it wasn't the LAPD, but he was some sort of homicide investigator or something like that. And he believed that his father was the Black Dahlia killer. And so to this day, we may never know, because George Hodel is dead now, and we still really don't have an answer to who killed the Black Dahlia. If it was him, he is gone now. But his son also believed that he was responsible for 4 other women's deaths around Los Angeles. So he believes that his father may have come back to America before he died and killed a few other women in this time period. So, but yeah, that's kind of the end of the story of George Hodel. So we don't really know. So I want you guys to leave your comments down below if you think George Hodel is the Black Dahlia killer. And if you do, let me know why. I think, in my opinion, I think he is the Black Dahlia killer. I think he was doing some really sketchy, creepy stuff that he probably shouldn't have been doing, and especially considering he had a relationship with the Black Dahlia, and his medical skill and the way that her body was bisected, and what he was painting of like women's bodies being chopped up. I definitely think he could be the Black Dahlia killer. But let me know what you guys think down below, and I hope you guys enjoyed this creepy video talking about Dr. George Hodel. And if you liked this video, make sure to thumbs it up, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more creepy videos like this. And I will see you guys all in my next video. Bye guys.